Hi guys, I think we're probably ready to start with just kind of letting a few people come in to the room. But I think let's get started, as I know we've got quite a jam-packed webinar today for everyone. So I hope you all had a good Easter holiday, whatever you were doing, however you were celebrating, or whatever you ended up doing. I hope you were able to get a bit of rest. If you haven't seen me before, I'm Izzy. I'm the head of marketing here at Diginius. So thank you for taking the time out of your busy day, I'm sure, after a long kind of restful weekend. We have a really exciting webinar lined up for you today. So if you attended our last one, we've got Julia, a senior partner manager at Microsoft back to do a PMax webinar. So everything you'll need to know about Performance Max on Microsoft advertising. And she'll also be sharing kind of a practical demo as well, how you can kind of action this information and set up kind of PMax campaigns within Microsoft itself. So yeah, should be a very kind of jam-packed webinar for everyone today. Before we hear from Julia, we will have an intro from Chester Yang, our Microsoft Partner Program Manager here at Diginius. But before we start, just to kind of let you all know, you are able to put questions if you have questions throughout the webinar, put them in the chat, and we will answer a few of them at the end of the webinar. If you can, I think you have the access to be able to thumbs up the questions. So what we'll probably do is if there's questions that people have written that you're interested in being answered, do thumbs those up and we'll pick maybe a few of the most thumbs up ones at the end to answer. But do feel free to add as many questions as you like, because regardless, we'll still follow up with all the answers after the webinar. So feel free to ask questions throughout if you have them whilst the webinar is going on. But yeah, as I said, we'll be following up anyway. Anyway, with further ado, let's pass over to Chester Yang. Thanks, Chester.
Thank you, Izzy, for the intro. And yeah, thank you everyone for joining the webinar today. Um, I think, very brief introductions for people on the webinar that doesn't really know too much about the Genius. I think, the Genius, we're a SaaS platform specializing in marketing technologies to drive marketing leads as well as sales leads for agencies and companies. And we're also best known for Microsoft Advertising's largest channel partner globally. I think for Microsoft Advertising is certainly a very exciting time. We recently had the 50th anniversary for Microsoft as a company. And there has also been a lot of kind of movement in the market, from, the recent ruling of Department of Justice on the Google antitrust lawsuit. We are still waiting for the remedy on how that's going to turn out. But, there's certainly a lot of potentials for other part of the business that can really help you grow. And also as a kind of advertisers, how you kind of diversify to de-risk, ahead of some of the turbulence that we may be seeing in the near future. And that's why we're here. We're Diginius, we're your Microsoft Advertising growth partner. We're here to help you kind of enable Microsoft Advertising and help you grow. Um, yeah, we currently work with, a thousand agencies, over 1,000 agencies across 60 markets, and we provide them with different type of support. We give them, technologies and so on to help them achieve better results on Microsoft. And we have recently also been awarded as the Partner of the Year by Microsoft Advertising as well. So we're really happy to share that. Um, Very quick overview on how we work with agencies, just to kind of lay out a little bit of a plug here. We provide financial incentives on kind of vouchers incentives as well as other type of incentives. Specifically for PMax that we're kind of talking about today, we also have PMax campaign adoption vouchers. So if any of your clients are looking to run PMax or already running PMax, this is a exclusive vouchers that we can provide that you can kickstart your Microsoft Advertising PMax campaign. We'll also provide kind of support. That's what we do on the kind of PPC support across Microsoft channels, and as well as our kind of software to help you manage different analysis and campaigns. Right. Without further ado, I will pass it back on to Izzy. And thank you guys for joining and looking forward to this session today.
Great, thanks, Chester. And we will share at the end just a little bit of a CTA, just in case you are interested in anything that Chester mentioned. We will bring up a CTA at the end just so you can write it down and remember in terms of reaching out. But let's move over to why you're all here. So I'll pass over to Julia to get started. Thanks, Julia.
Thank you, Izzy. Thank you, Chester. And hi, everyone. Happy to have you here on the webinar dedicated to Performance Max. And let me just quickly share my screen. Great. Hopefully you can all see my screen. So a quick intro of myself. As Izzy mentioned, I am working at Microsoft Advertising as Senior Partner Manager. And I've been with Microsoft for over almost 3 years now. And prior to that, I was also working at Google as search lead. So my experience is really based around performance marketing. And I've been always curious to see how we can automate this and make it more efficient. Fun fact about me, just so we feel a bit closer, before joining marketing world, I was actually a professional tap dancer, touring with my dance team. So yeah, I've been always drawn to creative side of the things, and that's how I ended up in marketing. So as Izzy mentioned, to keep us on track, we will only take questions at the end of the session, but feel free to provide them. We will address them all, and we will take some of the top questions to answer today. Now, let's dive into Performance Max. So what is Performance Max? I think you're quite familiar with the format already, and everyone is talking about it. But for me, Performance Max is just all-in-one campaign that is designed to simplify your advertising efforts. And the beauty of Performance Max is that it builds off what you already know. So think about ad formats and features that you've been actually using for years, like responsive search ads, dynamic search ads, audience signals, automated bidding. But now, instead of managing them separately, they all come together in one cohesive system. And it's not only ad formats, it's also platforms that you know, so where your ads appear, like Microsoft Bing, Edge, Outlook, and even our partners like DuckDuckGo and Snapchat. They're all now working together in a single place. So the takeaway is that Performance Max isn't just some mysterious black box that we don't know what's going on inside. It's just a smarter way to use the tools and platforms you're already familiar with. And they are optimized to work better together. And I understand that it might feel like a little like a new approach and unknown area, but really it's just a more connected and efficient way to drive results. But what it actually means in practice, right? Because it's not just about bringing these tools together. It's about unlocking access to a highly valuable, intent-driven audience that's ready to take action. So across Microsoft advertising properties, you gain access to over 1 billion users. But this isn't just any users. This is the audience with high intent. And those users are actively searching, browsing, and engaging with the type of the offers that you are promoting. Performance Max also takes part of new experiences we're building at Microsoft, like Copilot Chat, for example. We know in general that quick back rate in Copilot Chat is lower than in traditional search. So if we look at any engagement in Copilot Chat, it understands better user intent and it serves more relevant ads. But what's interesting, when we look specifically at Performance Max ads in the environment of Copilot Chat, they perform just as well. So we see that they perform as well, if not better in some cases, than manually created formats. So that means that you don't need to spend time on fine-tuning individual ad types for every placement. Instead, you can just use Performance Max and it will take care of the heavy lifting. It automatically optimizes across formats, delivering results that match what you would achieve with manual setup. But instead, it saves you time and the effort. So who should use Performance Max? Traditionally, specific campaign types would focus on particular stages of the funnel. What's unique about Performance Max is that it follows users across the entire journey. But how you integrate it in your overall strategy? This table, I know, might look a bit complex, but the key takeaway is that Performance Max can be used in different combinations with other campaigns. So for example, let's take performance max only scenario. This scenario can work for smaller advertisers or for those that look for full automation. In this case, performance max, just a standalone performance max campaign can be just enough. If you are testing a new product, you can also use performance max campaign, and it will cover all channels and formats, delivering quick, efficient results while maintaining your budgets. And also, if you work with Diginius platform, you know that you can set up specific budget targets and keep track on them to make sure that newly created performance max campaign still stays within your budget KPIs. Then next, moving to performance max combination with search campaigns. So if your goal is to keep a strong presence on specific search terms, like for example, your brand name, you can use a separate search campaign and provide it with exact match keywords for your brand name. And then PMax will work alongside to drive performance-focused results. Remember that exact match keywords will always take priority over PMax. Moving to next scenario. So for targeting specific audiences, like for example, Gen Z, if you have a gap with specific audience or you have a personalized message for this audience, you can run a separate audience campaign to build this brand awareness and drive consideration with this audience. And then Performance Max will cover the bottom funnel stages, ensuring that you capture performance-focused results and drive conversions without overlapping with your audience campaign. And lastly, we have scenarios for e-commerce advertisers. So if you want to have some control over shopping inventory, PMax can work alongside shopping campaigns. So this would be the setup if you are looking for more granular control over specific products, which you can manage in a separate shopping campaign. So I think the key takeaway here is that Performance Max is quite flexible. And what's important to remember is that Performance Max will not compete with other campaigns in the auction, and the algorithms will simply pick the best option based on what's the user signals. So combining campaigns like PMax, search, audience, and shopping won't increase your cost per click or conversion cost. Instead, it enhances overall results by letting each campaign type play to its strengths. So the best setup really depends on your specific goals, whether you're looking for pure automation, keyword control, or full funnel coverage. And before we move to demo, I wanted to provide you with some example how your Performance Max strategy can be implemented with other campaigns for retailer customer. So again, if you are just after full automation, you're a small advertiser, just one Performance Max campaign would be more than enough. And you can provide it with all types of assets, so text, image, and product feed, and it will focus on driving performance within your budget. If you need some control, you can consider two Performance Max campaigns. One will focus on non-product assets, like text and images, and then another will only focus on product assets from Merchant Center. This provides you some visibility and control over product performance. And then lastly, if you want full customization, you can combine Performance Max with standard shopping or search campaigns. For instance, use PMax for text images, so one PMax campaign without product assets, and then you can pair it with search campaign with exact match keywords, for example, for your brand name. And then on the product side, create a separate PMax campaign for Merchant Center and then combine it with standard shopping for wider reach when needed. And when you would want to use different PMax campaigns, so sometimes it's true that having everything in one campaign is just not the most efficient approach. So especially when you have different goals or markets or strategies, you want to create separate PMax campaigns. For example, if you are advertising in different countries or languages, splitting those out into separate campaigns gives you more control. And same things if you are working with different budgets or goals, like ROAS targets. You can then create specific campaigns, for example, for your new products or your best sellers. And a good example is probably holiday season. So most advertisers would want to create one campaign focused on holiday merch and then another covering high margin products. And the third campaign will cover the rest of the products. So a few things to keep in mind. First is that there is a limit. You can only have 100 Performance Max campaigns under one account. But the good thing is that you can create as many asset groups as you want. So if your PMAX campaign is targeting the same goal, just create new asset groups within it. Don't create new PMAX campaign. Then ensure that you have enough conversions. We need at least 30 conversions for last 30 days or couple of conversion cycles to ensure that Performance Max campaign drives results that you're expecting. And lastly, don't worry about cannibalization. The algorithm is pretty good at telling which campaign is focusing on what, but you can always check search term and product reports to make sure that there is no major overlap. Okay, it's time for our demo. Let me quickly switch the screens. Okay. Okay, I hope you can see my screen now. Yeah, perfect. So when you navigate to Microsoft advertising account, you should go to campaign menu and click on create new campaign. And when you create new campaign, you can select a certain goal that you want your campaign to focus on. And when we talk PMAX, it would be a conversion-based goal, or you can skip this, but we will select drive conversions as an example. And it's already suggesting you to create Performance Max campaign, and we will continue with this selection. At this page, you can connect your merchant store. And as I mentioned, you can have PMAX campaign with Merchant Center and image text assets. You can have purely product PMAX campaign, so only connecting Merchant Center and then not creating text and image assets. Or you can have a campaign without Merchant Center. So if you're not a retailer advertiser, you don't need to connect a Merchant Center here. We will not connect it now for this example, and we will start creating campaign. And this is where the fun begins, my favorite part. So when you're directed to asset group, you create your assets here. And the great thing about new technology, and especially Copilot, is that most of the information will be pre-filled for you. So I will select, for this example, a surface page and provide the final URL right here. So when you provided the final URL, Copilot will start creating you assets. It learns from your final URL page, so it retrieves information from this page, and it starts generating some of the assets. You can go with those assets, you can remove them, you can refine them, but it's great to have some help here and see what are the assets that it retrieves. So I'm quite happy with image result. Again, you can add your own images, you can use some of the images from stock, and you can also adjust your logo. Then in terms of aspect ratios, so you can see how your image would show in different placements. If you exclude specific aspect ratios, you are limiting your inventory. So I would recommend to not exclude any aspect ratios and just make sure that your images look good. You can always adjust them, you could crop them, and just select like how you want your image to display in those specific placements. In terms of text assets, so we already have lots of good assets. Maybe if some of them are too repeating, I would replace them with some recommended assets. And you can also play with different tones or trying similar short headlines. So use the power of generative AI here on fullest, and don't spend your time anymore on providing those assets. The key is to just have many different assets to provide as much personalization as we can. So same with long assets, you can add all recommended just to have all the assets provided, and same with the description. So those are all text assets that are provided here. Then we will provide business name and move to call to action. So call to action, when it's set by default to automated, this means that it will use all available call to actions here to personalize your ad. Again, it learns from the ad and it understands the text in the ad. Like, for example, we have in some of the short assets, surface deals. So it will learn from this and it will select some of the actions, call to actions that would match this message. And if you want, you can select a specific one. And I would leave it to automated. The good thing is that you will see in the reporting which call to action actually served with your ad. So under asset reporting, you will see the number of impressions for each call to action that served with your ad. So you can always adjust this. But again, I'm always up for personalization. So if you can set it to automated, go with this option. Then you can provide more assets to your ad, which are extensions. So for example, for action extension, I already created one example. You can specify a specific, a different action text and a different final URL. In my case, I used a different URL to direct users to where they can buy Surface laptop. So if you have some different pages that you think can play with your ad, you can provide them here. You can add specific tracking templates to enhance your measurement, and also select if you want to serve it during specific days and hours, if it's, for example, call center information or contact information. Okay, let's move on. So same with price extensions. You can specify which products you have deals on, select the language, and again, like a lot of information that you can provide to your users, and I recommend doing this. And with the promotion extension, you can also select the period when this promotion will run. So if you have a certain deal that is running during a specific period, you can provide it here, and then it will automatically stop serving when the end date is reached. Okay, and under more assets, you have all extensions available to serve with your Performance Max campaign. So again, use it, personalize your ads. You will have more chances to enter more auctions and be more competitive. Under more options, you can specify a different path URL. So it's the URL that will display with your ad. So if you have not very pretty URL, you can adjust it here and make it shorter and make it more friendlier to the user. And then you can also specify when you want your campaign to start and if you want to provide end date. Great, so this is the asset group section, and let's move on to the next one. Location, so you specify where you want your ads to serve. The default option would be all available countries and regions. Make sure that you specify your location. So just for the example, we will select United Kingdom. And target. You can also exclude certain locations, like specific locations or radius, if you're not serving or providing your offers and products in those areas. And as always, you can specify if you want to target people that are physically located there or searching for or viewing pages about targeted location. Under the language, you can specify if your ads should serve only on the websites that match your ad language. So if, again, you want to provide a very personalized experience, you can specify, for example, that I want my campaigns to only run on English-speaking websites. Signals, even though they're marked as optional, they're very important. And I cannot strengthen enough how important it is to provide your campaign with signals. So under audience signals, you can browse existing signals or create new list. So let's create new list, for example, for in-market audience. And then I will search for interest. So I'm interested in audience that is looking to buy some laptops. So I will search for this audience and add it as my signal. So again, when you select this signal, you are not limiting your targeting to this signal, you provide direction. And as more information Performance Max has about your targeted audience, your interested audience, as faster optimization will happen, and you will achieve better results with this. Especially if you have a first-party data list like customer match or remarketing list, Now with Microsoft Advertising, you can also create impression-based remarketing lists. So if you're running some campaigns, for example, with your search terms, you can create a list from them and then provide it as a signal to Performance Max, so it can learn from those lists. So please, please, please use those lists. And then under demographics, besides age and gender, you also have a unique opportunity with Microsoft Advertising to use LinkedIn profile targeting signals like company, industry, and job function. So if you're working in B2B, you're interested in focusing on specific companies, for example, or industries, you can always select those and again target, inform your PMAX campaign that you care about those audiences. Okay, let's move on. And then the last thing that you can provide, I already did this one. So the last information that you can provide to your Performance Max campaign is search terms, search themes. And again, use this to inform your PMAX campaign. So look at the most performing queries that are important to you and provide them. So I provided 3 examples like buy Surface laptop, Surface Pro deals, Microsoft laptop, and you can add up to 25. And I would really recommend doing so because again, as more information PMAX has, as better it will perform. Okay, let's move on. Campaign details. Yeah, you can change campaign name, you can adjust the schedule if you want to run it during specific days and hours only. You can specify if conversion settings should use account level settings, or you can provide it with campaign level conversion. So you can specify specific conversion for PMAX. Then auto-generated assets. I know that this one makes everyone worried about what it will actually generate. The word generate in general is perceived a bit like it will just go all creative and generate anything. The reality is different. We learn from your final URL, and the algorithm is quite restrictive in this sense, so it doesn't really generate anything. It only personalizes a bit more content to match expectations of the user. So it uses search queries that users are using to search for content. It uses interests, so pages that this person was visiting and is relevant to your topic, to enhance a bit your ad. And the good thing about auto-generated assets is that you have access and full visibility into it. So again, under reporting, you will see assets that were automatically created by Microsoft Advertising, and not only you can see them, but you can also delete them. So I will always recommend going with those settings on, because this provides you more competitive edge, because you are more personalized, so your expectations for click-through rate are higher. And if something is generated that you would not want to show to the audience, maybe some details that are not very relevant to your offer, you can always delete those and you can always exclude those. Then under the page feed, you can use your feed. So before being able to add it here, you need to create it in the account and then it will appear here. But page feed just gives you an opportunity to maximize the website coverage, also provided with some additional information, like if you are using some custom labels for URLs, you can use page feed. Think of it as instead of allowing Performance Max going to any URL from your website, you are limiting it to important ones. Like, for example, if you have a library of articles that you might not want to display, you can exclude those, and then it will only focus on pages that are included in the page feed. Okay, almost there. Campaign URL options, so tracking template. Again, if you're using some custom tracking or some third-party platforms to track, you can provide it here. I'm sure that Diginius can help you with this as well. And if you have some business parameters that you want to track from this campaign, you can add them here. And then in the Diginius platform, you will be able to see those. And lastly, brand exclusions. So you can create a list if you want Performance Max campaign to focus only on generic queries. You can create your list. For example, I provided Microsoft Surface brand, and then I exclude anything related to this brand. I would not do this in my example because my goal is to drive conversions. So I don't care if they're coming from brand queries or generic queries. I just want to have as many sales of Surface laptop as I can. But if you have a different strategy for your brand queries and you want to focus on brand queries with your search campaign, you can exclude those queries here and then target them with your search campaign. No, I will actually not save it. Okay, last step, budget. So you provide your budget here and you select bid strategy. Very simple and straightforward. I wouldn't recommend to limit and to restrict your strategy with ROAS or CPA target, because at the beginning, when it's a learning phase, your campaign needs to have several conversion cycles until it understands what is the good behavior versus not good behavior. And when you see that conversions stabilize and you receive expected volume of conversions regularly, then you can add some restrictions as CPA or ROAS target. So we're ready to run our campaign. You can review all the assets, make any adjustments as you want. You can go live directly or don't go live or review some of the settings, and your campaign will start running. Great, so hope this was helpful. I'll just switch the screens back. Okay. Give me 1 sec. Okay, I think you can see my screen now. And we move to a bit of a break, right? Enough of me talking. I want now you to think a bit and provide me with some answers. So we will do a small true or false game, just so we can process the information that we learned today. So please use a hand. I think in Zoom, yeah, it's a hand. Raise your hand when I will say if you think that the statement is true, or raise your hand when I will say it will fall. It's false. Okay, so first question. Is it true or false that Performance Max uses artificial intelligence to automate bidding and ad creation, which saves advertisers some time? So please, those who think this is true, can you raise your hand? I'm not sure I can track on this, but hopefully you are doing this. Okay.
There's lots of hands up, Julia.
Okay, good, good. And then those who think this is false, I expect very little hands or no hands ideally. Okay, this is absolutely true. So we enhance Performance Max with our latest AI technology, like generative AI, which we saw in the demo, provides you already some assets. We also use it for optimization to understand the user signals and process lots of information. So everything that is hard for our brain to process, we give it for AI to actually optimize and use it as signals, and then we only adjust the business part of it. Great, let's move on. Next question. Is it true or false that running a Performance Max campaign alongside a search campaign doesn't significantly impact performance? It mainly creates internal competition that leads to increased spend. So those who think this is true, please raise your hand. Okay, and those who think this is false? Okay, yeah, I see many hands for false. Absolutely right. So according to our internal study, running PMax campaign alongside the search campaign not only doesn't compete with PMax, or like between themselves don't create competition, but in fact it actually increases the ROAS by an average of 3 times and reduces CPI by 32%. Okay, next question. So I will give you a scenario and you need to say if it's correct or wrong. So you are running a search campaign with exact match keywords, and then you have PMax campaign. If I am a user and I search for a term that you are targeting with your exact match campaign, exact match keywords, Performance Max will win the auction. So is it true? Please raise your hand. Okay, and is it false? Okay, I hope everyone believes this is false because, as we mentioned, exact match keywords are always prioritized over Performance Max. And the next scenario is very similar, and it's the last question, I promise. You are running a smart or standard shopping campaign and Performance Max campaign. If I am a user, I search for a product that both campaigns can target, Performance Max will always take priority. Is it true? Can you raise your hand? Okay, and do you think this is false? Great. I hope everyone understands that this is true because Performance Max will take priority over smart or standard shopping campaign. So those are the only strong prioritizations in our algos. Exact match keywords always take priority over Performance Max, and then Performance Max is prioritized over standard or shopping campaign. In all other scenarios, best results or best expected rank will be chosen to go into auction. So if you're running, for example, phrase, broad match keywords in your search campaign, and then you have Performance Max campaign, in this case, we will not prioritize any campaign type. We will estimate what is the best possible outcome, and then this campaign will go into auction. Okay, we are running out of time very fast, so I might just quickly remind you again everything we saw in demo, and those are actually the levers that you can use to optimize your Performance Max campaign. And again, I completely understand that as advertisers, you do know your business inside and out, and you spend time refining strategies, understanding your customers, and learning what works best. So when you look at Performance Max that is fully automated, AI-driven, it's natural to feel like you are handing control over to the machine, right? And we hear you, and we know that lack of control can feel very uncomfortable. But our goal with Performance Max is to strike the right balance. So we want to let AI handle the overwhelming complexity of user behavior. So all those signals that we cannot just capture with our brain and process them. And then we empower and guide this campaign with your business insights, with information that you've learned from your users. So strategic levers that you have are listed on the slide. So for example, budgets. Again, you define which budget you put to Performance Max campaign, and it will respect this restriction. And as I also mentioned, in the Diginius platform, you have budget pacing report. So you can actually set specific KPIs and track that your budget is following those KPIs, you are not exceeding this budget, and you meet those goals eventually. And for bid strategies, again, you define what is the direction that this campaign takes. So should it focus on conversion volumes, or should it focus on the revenue? So what is more important for your campaign? In terms of targets, we talk about conversions. And as we saw in demo, you can set a separate conversion for your Performance Max campaign, and then it will respect this conversion. You can also leverage website exclusions. They will work on account level, so not PMAX level website exclusions. We know this is very demanded feature, and we understand the need of it, but we believe that website exclusions should work for all your campaign types. So if you want to restrict your campaign to go into specific content, for example, you are a luxury brand advertising for, I don't know, very luxury perfume, and you don't want to be associated with certain campaign content, you can exclude some of the websites from your inventory. And same brand exclusions and negative keyword exclusions. So brand exclusions work on campaign level. So specifically for Performance Max, you provide brand keywords that you want to exclude. And then any generic keywords can be excluded on account level. And again, not for optimization, but to adjust the inventory. Then when we talk about assets, as I mentioned in the demo, when you provide many assets, you will have more inventory available for you. If you restrict, for example, aspect ratios of your images, you won't be able to go into all placements that are available for your campaign. Audience signal search themes, direct your campaign, spoke about it, so please leverage those. And finally, you have final URL expansion. So again, you can restrict Performance Max campaign to specific URLs, or you can allow it to learn from all the website. Okay, let's move on. So how you start with Performance Max? So first, when we talk about campaign setup, you can create new campaign directly in Microsoft Advertising Platform, like we did right now in the demo, or you can import it from Google Platform if you already use it there. And time to first impression expectations are 3 days for a retailer, so it depends on the volume of the traffic, or 4 days for non-retailer. What is important to remember, if you pause your campaign for longer than 72 hours, after you reactivate it, we will treat it as a new campaign. So it will again go to this 3 to 4 business days to go live. It depends on the volumes in general that your account generates. So usually we see from many advertisers that it doesn't take actually 3 days to start generating impressions. But if it's a very specific business focused on very niche inventory, then it might actually take longer days to start delivering. When we talk about learning period, so initial campaign learning period length is 2 to 4 weeks or 2 to 3 conversion cycles. And it depends on multiple factors. So first is conversion volume. As I mentioned, ideally, we need 30 conversions in the last 30 days. Those are good and bad examples for algorithms to see how to achieve your goal. Then duration of conversion cycle. So this is the amount of time that it takes for clicks to result in conversion events. So for example, if you are a retailer, for you it might be days or even hours from a click to conversion, click to result in a conversion. But if you are selling cars, for example, we know that it can take months to actually result in conversion. So you need to take this in consideration and understand that campaign is also going through this cycle, and it needs to understand what's going on in this period. Then vertical, as we mentioned, retailers would perform, the learning phase would go faster. And also whether a feed is associated. And lastly, external factors like seasonality would also affect learning period. So during learning phase, we recommend to not make too many changes and set realistic goals to help your campaign perform effectively. Then moving to budgets and bid strategy, I already mentioned that I recommend avoiding constraints for optimal performance. So when you're in learning phase, don't restrict campaign with CPI and ROAS until you are seeing steady conversion volume. And then you can add these targets on top of your bid strategy. And lastly, I don't know how many times I mentioned already that it's very important, leverage first-party audience lists. You can actually create some of those in Diginius platform and then use them for your PMax campaign. And what are the general troubleshooting? I think I will skip this one just for now because we're moving into the end of the session and I want to leave some time for questions. But you will have those slides, so some general recommendations if you are experiencing some of those scenarios. We will guide you what you can do to achieve the results that you want. This is a comparison table of features that are available with Performance Max and Microsoft Advertising Platform and Google Ads. So I think the main difference between Google Ads PMax and Microsoft Ads PMax is that we don't have video inventory. And this is why our format is really performance oriented. So we're not focusing that much on awareness stages, and most of the auctions that you will go in would be search auctions. So when you run Google Ads campaign and you might be not really satisfied with your results, this doesn't mean that necessarily with Microsoft Advertising you will experience similar results. And I think PMax is actually one of the campaigns that is really different from how it performs with Google. Then we also have LinkedIn profile targeting as audience signals. As I mentioned, it's actually not in pilot. It's available for everyone already. So this is a bit outdated table, but I will provide you with the latest one in the follow-up. And you can also leverage multimedia ads that are unique to Microsoft advertising. So use this table if you have your Google Ads campaign and you want to import it into Microsoft advertising. You have this table to support you to understand which features are available on our site. Okay, so lastly, we will talk about some results. I already mentioned this internal study that we provided, so I will move to actual case studies. So this one, I wanted to show you some great results that Marks and Spencer was able to achieve with Performance Max. They actually tested it very early while PMax was in the beta phase. And when they tested PMax, they were able to see those AI capabilities paired with compelling creative to reach the right audience at the right time. They focused on conversion optimization and they experimented with different creative assets combinations, all within a single unified campaign. So they have different asset groups. The results, they're really impressive. So PMax drove a 227% increase in revenues, mind-blowing. And this with only 32% more ad spend. And on top of this, Marks and Spencer saw a higher ROAS compared to their smart shopping campaigns. And in the words of paid search assistant manager, Microsoft Performance Max has been incredibly beneficial for them, and they were able to control costs and improve return on ad spend, ensuring that their search campaigns contribute to Marks and Spencer overall success. Then I wanted to focus on a different industry, and this is financial services, so insurance provider. We know that the path to conversion is a bit longer here, and it's harder to infuse PMax with understanding of what is my ideal customer that I want to focus on. So Tick by Etica, search always played a key role in their customers' decision-making process. So they decided to test Performance Max to expand their reach and boost conversions at a lower cost. So results, again, very impressive. So they reduced the cost per acquisition for their travel insurance, and just in 3 months, they saw a 52% increase in their sales and a 41% drop in CPA compared to the previous months. And as e-commerce manager from Etica says, Microsoft is a reliable channel that helped them efficiently grow travel insurance sales. And InMobi agencies team supported them at every step. So again, very important to have good support on your side. So please reach out to the Diginius team to have it. And they were able to reach out to their audience and drive conversions while keeping costs under control. And lastly, I wanted to provide a case study from travel industry. So again, super complicated industry with changing destinations, with changing offers very regularly. So again, for PMax, you would think it would be really hard to learn and understand all those changes happening. But Air France was brave enough to test fully automated campaign type Performance Max. And they did it also very early in second half of 2023. So they wanted to focus on profitability and maximize their revenue. And their goal was to size every post-crisis opportunity across more than 100 global markets. So to drive more bookings and increase revenue, their agency Performix decided to test PMax. And they did it alongside search and audience campaigns. So they had a full strategy in place, and PMax was helping them to drive this additional inventory. So they used import tools to quickly launch PMax in Microsoft advertising, and they leveraged Microsoft audience signals, like in market segments, paired with highly qualitative creative assets. So what are the results? Their bookings increased by 52% for non-branded campaigns, while revenue from generic keywords grew by 54%. And in head of search words, they're very pleased with Microsoft Advertising AI capabilities to drive bookings and expand their reach. And if this level of performance continues, they plan to scale PMax into more markets. So really strong results across all of these examples. And I hope that these stories were helpful for you to get a bit inspiration. And I wanted to show how powerful PMax can be in driving real business impact. So to sum up, PMax can increase your reach across all Microsoft ecosystem. It works very well in synergy with other campaign types. It drives profitability. It really focuses on performance and drives uplift in conversions and return on investments. And it also helps you focus on automation, so saving your time. And one important thing that I also wanted to focus on is alignment. We really work hard to make this format as up to date as our competition. And we did launch just 2 years ago Performance Max campaign, but we try to bring all the parity in place to make your experience seamless. And lastly, get in touch with the Diginius team for more support, for activation vouchers. So if you want to test PMax and nothing keeps you anymore from trying this, just reach out, get the voucher, and start your campaign today. You will have some additional resources, of course, help articles, some of the training sessions are also available, and more advanced information like leveraging API. Okay, thank you very much for listening. I know we are almost at time, so I really want to leave those last 7 minutes to focus on the questions. So yeah, I'll just stop sharing and pass it to you, Easy, to focus on questions.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Julia, for a really informative webinar. Hopefully everyone was able to also kind of see how they can action it and set up their campaigns as well. We do have quite a few questions. I think we've got time for a couple, but don't worry, we will follow up with all the answers post-webinar. Let me just look at some of the most thumbs up questions just so we can get those ones answered. So we have one here. You said PMax won't compete with search campaigns, but how do they decide which keyword enters the auction, gets the click, if they're both phrase or broad match?
Yes, great question. And it does focus on more information than just keyword itself. So when you have a search campaign that is running phrase and broad match keywords, and then you have also Performance Max campaign targeting same keywords, what algorithm assesses is the signals from this user and then the available assets. And for example, if you have more variety with PMax and more assets available, and search term that user used is fully represented and PMax and your goals, I forgot to specify, your goals should be the same, right? Because if you're running different goals, then it will also assess it towards those goals. So you're running the same goals, and search term is more represented in the assets of PMax campaign, then this campaign will go into auction. If you are using a search campaign and some assets are personalized to this search term more than in PMax, then this campaign will go. So they will not compete. There is no competition that increases cost per click or eventual cost per conversion. Algorithm would just look at the estimated result. So when anything is triggering your responses, the algorithm starts estimations based on all those signals that it knows about the user, and it just predicts which campaign will have success, and then this campaign will go into auction. Because, for example, if there is an opportunity to go into multimedia ad placement, so I'm searching on the search page from my desktop, and besides text assets, there is this also place for multimedia ad. This is a ad type with the big image and some text below it. And you're not running multimedia ads with your search campaign, but you do have image assets with your PMax. then PMax might decide that I will have better result if I also display an image, and it will go into this auction. So yeah, it really looks at the user signals, at available assets, and estimates better results. I hope this answers the question.
No, that's great. One other quick question. Is there a recommended minimum budget?
There is no recommended minimum budget. It depends on your campaign, what you are promoting. But what you can do, you can look at the your historical budgets and estimate it for performance max. For example, if you were only running search campaign, then we would recommend 2 to 3 times your search campaign budget, because you need to understand that you are going into more auction, into more inventory available. So you do need more budget compared to search campaign. But if you were running search campaign and audience campaign, those two budgets together can actually represent what you can spend with PMax campaign. And the other way to calculate it, you can estimate the cost for 30 conversion for months. So for example, if cost for your conversion is, let's say, £10 and you need 30 conversion, then you would need to multiply this and provide this budget to be enough to generate 30 conversions for campaign to learn. So this is another way of looking how you can calculate your budget. But there is no minimum threshold or minimum budget to start.
Okay, I think we have maybe one more quick question. I changed the search themes monthly since my asset groups are struggling to get volume. Do you have any suggestions how to get more volume, or how often to make changes to asset groups for the best performance?
Great question. Yeah, I think volume might be challenging depending again of your industry and which audience you are targeting. So first, what I would check the audience signals and search themes. Can you provide a bit more guidance for this campaign to understand which auctions to go to? And I would also assess which queries you already were showing in. So you have search themes report specifically for Performance Max, and I would look what are those queries and maybe create more headlines and descriptions mentioning those search terms, just to make sure that you are competitive enough for those auctions. And then, yeah, if you are already working with assets and you have all the aspect ratios for your images, you have many headlines and descriptions, like 15 headlines and 5 descriptions, then maybe try to look at how they perform. There is assets report, and understand what maybe you can change to target some specific queries. But I would need to look at specific because it really depends on the industry, on how is your budget doing. If you can provide any, like if it's retailer, maybe you can expand a bit your product feed, and we can look into product feed in general, like how it's performing. So depends on the industry. But yeah, probably I would just start by informing campaign a bit more and make sure that you have all the assets in place and you are not excluding under automated generated assets. Don't exclude URL expansion because again, it will learn from your website and go into more inventory. Let's take one last.
One last one.
One last one.
There seems to be a lot of questions regarding the minimum requirements on the 30 conversions.
Yeah, again, it depends on the industry. So if you are a retailer and you're driving many conversions, most probably this rule is not obligatory for you because you will start driving conversions from the beginning. But if you are in the industry where the click to conversion path is really, really long, think about providing some light conversions. Can you actually go one step before the actual conversion? Maybe instead of focusing on the sale of the car, you can focus on just collecting some forms, and we can create this lighter conversion goal and provide it to Performance Max as understanding what is the one step before the actual sale and what are the signals that are driving those conversions. So just make sure that your conversion volume is big enough for a campaign to understand this good and bad behavior, because in the end it's just combination of signals. So which devices, time of the day, user interest, all of this together, what is actually performing better than the other combinations. So again, this is not obligatory requirement. And now that we have more data, and if your account has a lot of historical data, it might be not restricting you, and you might start campaign and in 1 week already see good results without even generating many conversions. But if it's a brand new account, no historical data, no understanding of your product, and you're starting from scratch, it is recommended to have at least 30 conversions in the past 30 days. So if you can generate this with the bottom goal, just think about 1 step before this or 2 steps before this, and you try to generate those lighter goals.
So just to clarify on that last one questions.
Yeah.
So the 30 conversion, it doesn't have to be generated from the PMax campaign. It can be from your account level historic data.
If you're using account level settings for PMax, so you are using the same conversion action for all your campaigns, yes, it learns from other campaigns, but for PMax to be more efficient and more stable, to like really generate same results over the time, it does need to be on PMax level as well. So we say when you pass the 30 threshold, this is when we are sure that PMax understands how to behave. But it is true that if you have historical data and those conversions, it will just collect those conversions faster. It will just navigate better this audience and understand who to target. Great, amazing questions and great audience. Thanks a lot for staying a bit longer.
Yeah,
and,
thank you for answering the questions, Julia. There's some really, really good questions asked. Yeah, we'll as always, we'll follow up with all of the questions. So if you did ask one, don't worry, we will follow up with all the responses in the next few days for these questions. Chester, if you can just quickly get up the last slide, just so we can share that with everyone here before we round off the webinar. Sorry, one sec, everyone.
I get the feeling for a lot of each day will probably carry on.
Perfect. Hopefully everyone can see.
I got the same thing.
Cool. Yeah, we will send, as I said, a follow-up. We'll have the webinar recording and Julia's slides and all of your questions answered in the next few days. So do look out in your inboxes for those. But any kind of next steps, if you are already a client of ours and are working on the program and you have any questions regarding PMax or just generally about Microsoft advertising, feel free to reach out to your account manager and they'll be able to help you with any questions that you have. Alternatively, if you're not currently working with us, if you just take down these details here and reach out, we'll be more than happy to support you with any questions that you have if you're not already working with us. But yeah, as I said, all of the content from today will be shared with you. And I just want to say a massive thank you to Julia for joining us today. Really great and informative webinar. And thanks to Chester as well, and everyone for taking the time out of your day to join the webinar. Thank you. We did overrun a little bit, so thanks for your time and have a good rest of your afternoon. Thanks, guys.
And then just remember.
Thank you.